Okay, well, first of all, I have a video here. You have to understand something. I'm used to speaking to elementary, middle school, high school, college kids. So I'm trapped into like my mindset of like how I try to inspire people. But I do have an agenda today, and it is to be very transparent with you. And I hope you get something out of it. This video actually was something my wife saw this morning that I did. I do these videos so often. I call them "Thank God It's Tuesday," and I just put them out in the community. It's just a little motivational blip. But I'm going to do my best to tie it into, I think, what we're all looking to do for the reasons why you guys are all here in the with the Republican Party and so on and so forth. So before we do that, I thought of something that was a pretty cool little. I've changed it a little bit and I stole it, but I think you guys will appreciate this little story. So there's a man in a hot air balloon realized he was lost, reduced his altitude, and spotted a woman below. He said to her, "Excuse me, can you help me? I promised a friend that I would meet him in an hour, and I don't know where I am." Well, the woman replied, "Well, you're in a hot air balloon, hovering approximately 40 feet off the ground between 40 north longitude and 60 west latitude." "You must be an engineer," said the balloonist. She said, "I am," replied the woman. "But how did you know?" The balloonist said, "Well, everything you told me was technically correct, but I have no idea what to make of the information. And the fact of the matter is, I'm still lost, and frankly, you have not been much of help at all, and really, you've delayed my trip." The woman below responded, "You must be the president." The balloonist said, "I am. How did you know?" "Well," said the woman, "you don't know where you are or where you're going. You've risen to where you are due to a large quantity of hot air. You made a promise or many promises that you have no idea how to keep, and you expect the people beneath you to solve all your problems. And the fact of the matter is, you're in the same exact position before we met, and somehow it's George Bush's fault." So I thought that it was kind of cute. In leadership, sometimes we got to listen and keep moving forward. This video just to start out what we're going to talk about. And then we'll get going. Before I do, I definitely want to thank Mike for the opportunity. I'm truly delighted to be here, really and truly. There are many reasons why I do what I do when it comes to this kind of stuff, and you'll hear why as we get into this. And hopefully I can inspire you in some way to kind of do various things that you can do that meets your skills or what you want to do to help the community and help what we got going on here. So again, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm blessed to be here. So if you'll go ahead and play that. And check the volume. Forgive the music, it's for young kids now.
Couldn't shake him a deep round. 3 nails to pierce, but couldn't break him or make him appear, taking away from his signature. All right, thank God it's Tuesday. You know, I'm excited already today. It's a great day. The difference today, the last couple of Tuesdays, man, it's been rainy outside. It's a beautiful, gorgeous day. Just want to say thank God it's Tuesday. It's another great day. I have 2 things for you real quick. The first thing I want to tell you is it relates to just really learning how to become more successful, more succeeding. I'm always talking about success. Remember, success means so many things to so many different people. It's not about money. It's not about your job. It's not about just being a great parent. It can be about anything as it relates to you. But the first thing I want to tell you, the first thing is so basic. We've heard it over and over. It's nothing new I'm bringing to the table. But the first thing is you got to show up. Let me give you an example. So many times I'll want to get myself to go to the gym and I'll go, "Oh, I just don't feel like going today." But I know if I show up, I know we'll make it happen. But I gotta get there. That's the key. I gotta get to the gym. There's been times, God's honest truth, I'm in the parking lot. Have you done this? I'm in the parking lot. I'm going, I don't feel like going in there, man. I don't want to go in there. But showing up is the first way to be successful. So you just gotta show up. A lot of times people are saying, "My marriage isn't doing this," or with my kids, I'm having issues. You gotta show up ready to play. You gotta just show up. You can't avoid the situation. So if you want to say, "You know what? Forget it. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm not going back. You got to keep showing up. If you don't show up, it ain't going to happen. Second thing is you got to bring some passion to the table. Now listen, the difference between having passion, right, or the antonym of passion is indifference, right? So it's you're either passionate every day or you're indifferent every day. And indifferent is just lethargy. It's like you don't care. You don't care. So when you're looking about becoming successful, are you really looking to make something better than what you currently have? You've got to bring the passion to the table. You've got to bring that excitement. You know, passion is also, it's not necessarily all positive. Passion can be anger, right? Passion can be heat. Passion can be just enthusiasm every day. But really and truly, honestly, you have to look at yourself and take personal responsibility and realize that if you're not passionate, if you're not excited, no one's going to be excited for you. Ain't nobody going to be excited for you. Ain't nobody going to do it for you. Ain't nobody going to make it happen for you, which means if you're not passionate, you know what you are? You're indifferent. If I get there, I get there. If I do it, I do it. If I don't, I don't. I actually have some people, believe it or not, we talk about setting goals. I've actually had some employees say, oh, I don't do goals. I don't do goals. You don't do goals. What do you mean you don't do goals? How are you going to know where you're going if you don't know where you're heading? Well, when you put goals in place, that brings accountability. When you bring accountability in place, that brings performance. And it also brings the mark of where you're going. So if you don't have that in place or you don't want to, you know what you are? You're just indifferent. Because if you get there, you do. And if you don't, you don't. Here's the problem. If you don't get to where you want to go, okay, then you start looking at circumstance. It's the economy. That's why we're not. Listen, the economy, the job situation, the government, all of those are just circumstances, man. And circumstances happen to everybody at all times. And really, the real problem is not the government. The real problem is not the economy. It's you. It's me. It's me and it's you. So you got to be passionate every single day. So don't be indifferent. Be passionate, okay? Remember to show up. Don't be in the parking lot not wanting to go in. Because my question to you is this. Where else in your life are you sitting in the parking lot? That's right. Where else are you sitting in the parking lot? Because it's happening. It's showing up over and over. It's not just the gym. I promise you. Today's Tuesday. Have a great day. Thank God it's Tuesday. Beautiful day. Have a great...
So you agree that you got to show up, right? So you've all shown up. So you're all here, right? So that's the first step. I'll tell you, what I want to cover with you today is kind of go through my story. And, my wife always alludes to that I don't take enough credit. So for the first time, and I've done this many, many times, for the first time, I will tell you that I have overcome a lot. I don't normally say that. Really looking to stretch, you see, because I will tell you, and I don't know how everybody stands in the room with faith. Faith is a big part of my life. And so for me, it's hard to take credit when I know that my Heavenly Father has really led me through the path. And I'll get into that without being too churchy, but I think that's important. But I do want to share with everybody here, I don't know how qualified I am to speak to you in the room, because obviously you live in a beautiful place. Some are retired, some are retired. You guys, the success talk, you guys have been there, done that, had the business, did the business, and now you guys are in a place in time. So I don't know how qualified I am, but I will tell you this: I'll give you my very best to inspire. The first thing I want to share with you is a thought that time is more valuable than money. Time is more valuable than money. You agree with that? When I'm 22, 25, it's all about the money. It's all about go. It's all about go, go, go. And even at 39, I'm still working on balance, slowing that down. Because before I know it, my 9-year-old and my 11-year-old are in the graduating. And I'm preaching to the choir because y'all have been there and you know more than what I'm saying. But, we can get more money. We can always get more money. We live in America, right? We can get more money, but we can't get more time. Once it's over, it's over. We can't get that time. And I think if you can sum up life in a lot of different ways, and again, in my humblest approach of 39 years of life, sharing about life, in my mind, really metaphorically, it's the compass and the clock. The compass and the clock. Where are you going and how much time do you have to do it? Compass is your vision. What do you see? Right? And the clock is the time. And the time it continues to tick, and that's a huge point. And when I look at time, I read a book one time that was very insightful, and it talked about relaying your time, not in years. How old are you? I'm 72. I'm 42. I'm 39. They broke it down into days. How many days have you lived? How many hours have you lived? And then the book went through subtracting your sleep, subtracting this, and you realize how little time is left really to get something accomplished that could be powerful or impactful in a community or whatever route you're going. I've lived 14,316 days as of today. 14,316 days. I've lived 343,584 hours of life and counting. Right? So interesting. I mean, if somebody were to ask you to spend more money, that's pretty easy, right? If they ask you to spend more money, that would be pretty easy, right? You live in America, that's the greatest place in the world, right? Last time I checked, people aren't starving to get to Poland for an opportunity, right? They come here. This is where they come. We can do that. But what if somebody asks you to spend a day? Hey, I need you for a day. You got to think about that, don't you? Because your days are very valuable, right? You got to think, like you know, when Mike asked me, "Hey, would you spend some?" I got to think. Do I want to spend an hour of my time? Come spend? That's something you got to think about because you realize how precious that time is. So again, I think it's important, you know, as we get older, not to waste one day. And even for me now, this time for me, and as I get through this, I think you'll understand this is the best time for me ever. I wasn't put on this planet to be a car man. I mean, I've been doing the car business for 20 years. Okay, August will be 20 years I've been doing this business. I know it seems kind of crazy. I got in it when I was 20 years old. But, you know, that's not what I was put on this planet for. You know, and I think all of us would agree in some way, shape, or form. We've had jobs, we've had careers, we're parents, we're husbands, we're wives, we have responsibilities, but there is something more that we're here for. Right? And so how do we get to understanding what we're here for and taking action and moving? That's the question. And so hopefully we can cover that. A couple of quick things I wanted to share with you today is I hope you find me sincere. Okay? But at the same time, sincerity is not a test of truth. Truth is truth. Okay? But I do hope you find me sincere, and I do hope you take me very seriously. Because for me, I think you guys are in a great opportunity. Differently than me. And I'm going to explain how in a moment. You got a great opportunities. But there's two things I want you to take away. The two things, and that is simply, when I'm done speaking, I would like for you to take ideas and inspiration. That's it. A couple of ideas and some inspiration. In other words, you know, you got something brewing. Every one of you potentially has something in your gut that you know you could do, should do, want to do, and then later. You know, I'm there now. I all the time. So my goal is give you some ideas, okay, and again have some inspiration to tie behind that. You know, when you think about ideas, why would I say ideas? I think ideas can be life changing. You know, in my short life, you know, you can have great ideas, social ideas, business ideas, family ideas. Ideas are life changing. To me, it's like a lock. You got a combination to this lock, and you're missing one digit. One digit, and that idea could be that digit. All of a sudden, lock opens up. You know, it could be that impactful. I mean, I really do. And I think ideas just turn the lights on. You know, some people have eyesight, some people have mind sight. You know, and again, I think that's a real huge differentiator. People can see, and unfortunately, we live in a world where seeing is believing, right? To some. Where I believe believing is seeing. See, because it starts with the belief, and then you manifest what you want to create. And so I think that's a huge deal. And even again, I'm an amateur of the Bible, but the good book talks about God said, "Let there be light." He spoke, which tells me words have power. Words have power. So words can create ideas, can create inspiration. You know, and again, most of you know Helen Keller. She said that some people have sight but have no vision. So as we're talking about what we're doing in the community here, and we can all moan and groan because I've done it about our political situation and what's going on and everything. Okay, we can either get in the game and make a difference, you know, or hang in there and just continue to moan about things that, you know, we think we can't change, but we really can change them. You know, because I think everybody counts, everybody matters. And I think it's a huge deal. So let me tell you real quick about my story. My story is a mixture of faith and inspiration. Okay? Some people would look, and I would be the first to tell you, and I have never done this in a speech, so I'll tell you now, I've never really taken full credit of what has happened in my life as a child, what I went through as a child, and how I was able to buy a car dealership with my wife and really acknowledge that I've come through a lot, and it was a pretty cool deal. But I'm acknowledging that today because I believe people see the glory of Louie Herron Toyota, but they don't know the story. See, everybody here has a story. And many of you have many businesses that you've retired out or you've sold out or you've worked in or whatever the case may be. But I promise you, everybody here has a story. You know, and so I think it's very, very important that we realize together as a group, we're still writing the story within what I perceive God's bigger story. There's a bigger story going on, but we're still writing our story. All of us in here are still writing our story, if we choose to do so. I'm going to start off my story, again, being an amateur of the Bible, but I'm going to just quote you Psalms 119:71. The verse says, "The suffering you sent me was good." The suffering you sent me was good for me, for it taught me to pay attention to your principles. That's what I want to start off with. Suffering. I wrote a book. Haven't published it yet. It's been written for a while. It hasn't been published. But an excerpt in the book is a quick snapshot of what I'm going to detail out for you. But here's a part of the book. It said, "I personally lived through some struggle in life for success. My biological father fell off the face of the earth after he divorced my alcoholic mother when I was 3. She remarried to a man who was tough as nails and had no problem disciplining me like I was a man when I was a kid. I've been fired 4 times, demoted twice, and I've had my life savings embezzled. I've spent more holidays alone than I can care to count, and I've had many years in my life with multiple W-2s. I've been on the verge of divorce, unfortunately, 2 times. But I'm nothing special." So when I read that, and you got some story that sounds something like that? Some form or fashion? For me, God's plan became God's platform. In my mind, in my world, in my belief system, all that suffering, and what I'm going to share with you, all that suffering is part of the plan to be used as a platform. To do what I'm doing now. To share it and inspire others that may be in a situation similar or have gone through one. And so I think that's key to understand. So, story goes like this. Born in Miami, Florida. See, you notice in the very beginning the Miami Dolphins? There's a reason for that, okay? So born in Miami, Florida, and I think I'm in a room here with some folks that aren't born and bred from Eatonton, right? I got a few folks that are from out of town. Just a few, okay? So born in Miami, Florida. My mother, and I don't know the true story, but my mother basically, she was an alcoholic and she partied a whole bunch. She got married, then they got divorced at 3 years old. My biological father, he left. I was about 3 years old. My mom sent me to my uncle in Ohio. I stayed there till I was 5 years old. I come back home at 5 years old and I meet my new dad. Now you got to see this now. I got to paint now see this picture. I've got a Puerto Rican father, biologically. I got an Italian mother. And my new dad, stepdad, is from Alabama. And he's a roofer. He owns a roofing company. So this is what I'm walking into. Now, when I say he was tough as nails, let me just say this. That generation, and I know everyone in the room relates to what I'm talking about. That generation was very, very tough. Very tough. I mean, when you messed up, and you're going to get it. See, my generation, me, we're soft. Okay, we're a little soft. Okay, but I think there's a balance in between. My dad was tough. When I say he was tough, I could share stories with you. Literally, I have a son who's 9, and I have a daughter who's 11. And if I even think about the things that happened to me when I was 9 and 11 with my kids, it's earth-shattering. This is the thought process. When I say he was tough as nails, I mean, and there was numerous occasions. I can sit here and tell you many, which is not the point. The point is just draw that conclusion of what that environment was. So you have an alcoholic mother and dabbled in some drugs, okay? And you have a father who's physically tough and just a workaholic. He was not really present. He was never there. There was no football games, practices. He wasn't engaged. And if he wasn't home, he was running around doing other things he shouldn't have done, okay? And that was the environment. So in 6th grade, I got in trouble one time for doing graffiti all over these walls because I was heading nowhere fast, hanging out with bigger kids. And so anyways, my grandparents came down, and they're very Christian people, very, very Christian people. The Puerto Rican people, very Christian. With broken English, you need to send him to Hollywood Christian School. That's where he needs to go. So my mom looked everything up, whatever. I was going to a Catholic school at the time. So she put me in Hollywood Christian school. Long story short, I go to this Christian school, and honestly, that's where God just took over my life. It was like, here I am in this chaos, and I remember being in these chapel services they forced us to go to, and I was just disruptive. I didn't want to be there. I didn't understand all this Jesus talk and all this kind of stuff. And but after about a year, it just wore on me. It just kept wearing on me. So finally, I just broke down, and I didn't know why I was breaking down, but I know that it was God just kind of just working on me. From that point forward, it was like I was living in the land of the blind. I was the only one that could see. Because everything in my house, everything was clear. I'm talking sixth grade, 12 years old. I mean, I'm reading the Bible at 12, 13 years old. You know, I mean, just like goofy stuff for like 12, 13-year-old kids. You know, they don't normally do that. And I'm just, and I had this faith that like, you know, you're going to pull me out. And all I could think about was, man, when I'm 18, I'm out of here. I am out of here. Because I didn't want to be involved because my mom and dad would fight. He'd beat her up. And then as I got older, 14, 15, 16, then I'd get involved and he and I would get into it. It just was ugly. So I figured, how can I get out of here? Football. That's the way to get out of here. Love football. Was a decent athlete. Football. So my mind was made up. Beeline, obsessive focus. Got with my coach. I had two people, Miss Brown and Coach Cannon. That's what I call my bakers and butlers. And I think bakers are the people that have the recipe, right? The recipe to make the cake, the recipe to succeed, right? They had the recipe. And butlers were the ones that opened the doors. Those were the two people that I knew that if I could get to those two people, and of course, thank goodness, they loved me to death. They knew, everyone in the school knew my situation. So I got a lot of love. Again, I think it was God sent. Everybody knew what was going on. And so I was able and fortunate to be able to have those two people help me with my grades and help me get somewhere to play college football. So at 18 years old, off I went. I've never been home since. I've been home to visit on occasion because I've got tickets to the Dolphins because I like the Dolphins. But I don't go home since. So here I am. I'm 18 years old. I played football at Liberty University for the first year. Didn't make good grades at a high school that I needed to make, so I had partial scholarship. I go there 1 year. Now, mind you, I'm 18 years old, don't have any supervision, really don't have the clarity to make decisions that I probably needed to make. And here I am, after the first year, a guy by the name of Dwayne Carswell, who went on to play for the Denver Broncos for 12 seasons, played in front of me, and he was just 1 year ahead, so I wasn't going to play unless I moved to defense. I didn't want to do that. And Coach, I don't know if some of you may know if you follow football, Sam Rutigliano, he used to coach the Cleveland Browns, the Cardiac Kids. He was the coach. So he knew what I wanted to do, but he told me, look, it's not going to work out for you here if you want to play tight end. You got to play defense or it's not going to work. And I said, so I called my high school coach. I said, okay, Butler. All right, Baker, I need to find somewhere to go play football. So he says, give me the tape that you have and everything you have. Let me see what I can come up with. So anyways, I got a school for you. I said, what's school? He says, it's West Georgia College. Where's that? He says, in Carrollton. Where's that? It's near Alabama. All I can think about is, I don't want to go to West Georgia, but if that's what you got, that's what I'll do. So an 18-year-old kid, okay, gets all his transcripts, tries to get all this stuff together, packs his car. I drive down to Georgia. Don't know a soul in Georgia. Don't know anybody. Don't know a coach. Don't know anybody down there. I go to the office to enroll in school. Don't know even what I'm doing. Tell them my situation. They helped me get enrolled. Boom, I start playing there. Well, so the dream was to go on and play football in the NFL. That was the dream. That's what I was going to do. So, anyways, I played a lot, but the bottom line is I redshirted, and so basically I was going to be a coach and a teacher if I never made it to the NFL. That was going to be my thing. Well, as it would have it, the money that I had, the years that I had of eligibility ran out, and I still had 2 years left. So I was a slow learner, to say the least. I like the girls in the football thing. That's what messed me up, you know? I mean, I was like, that was my thing, you know? But I had 2 years left and no money. I had 2 years left, no money, and I had no parental supervision, and I didn't talk to my mom and dad. Now, there was a conversation I had with my mom when we severed, and I think it's a critical point. When I severed the relationship with her at that time because I couldn't communicate with her because he would get upset. It was just really kind of goofy. And I said, it's better off that we don't communicate. So I hung up the phone, and I remember, I was in Liberty, driving to the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I remember I was 18, I was like crying like a kid, man. Crying like a baby. And I'm like, man, God, is this the way it's supposed to be? Like, really? Like, is this, like, what am I going to, like, I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, literally, like, it set in, like, be careful what you wish for, because here it is, you know? And then somehow I just got this peace that came over me, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And I was very fortunate, and from that, I've always had people in my life. Everywhere I've gone to, I've had people in my life. So I think that's a huge point. But I want to make a point, too, that I think is critical and that I think it ties back into what we're talking about is expectations, okay? And if you take a kid from Greene County High School, okay, Greene County High School, and he has the opportunity to go to UGA, and you take a kid that lives in Reynolds, and he goes to LOA, and he goes to UGA, do both parents have different expectations of what their kids are going to do? They're going to have different expectations. I mean, the one kid from Greene County that maybe has very low resources, he just gets into UGA. Grandmama's going, man, you made it to Georgia. You're going to college. But the parents that live in Reynolds, the kid goes to LOA, says, you're going to be a doctor. You better get going. The expectations were different for those two kids in that scenario. For me, I think the key point for me is my expectation. My expectation was so strong. My faith was so strong. It was an expectation that I knew. It's almost like a credit card. You know when you get a credit card, and as soon as you get that card, there's a 1-800 number on it, right? And what do they want you to do? They want you to activate the card, right? The money's already on the card, but you got to go and call the number to activate it, right? And so for me, that was kind of the metaphor in my mind. It's like I've already got it in me. I just got to go activate it. It's already there. I just got to go get the number and go make it happen. That was the mindset that I had at an 18, 19-year-old kid. So the long story short, 2 years left, I drop out of college. So here I am. I get a job working in Villa Rica, Georgia, Miami boy, working in Villa Rica at Lowe's distribution plant, loading trucks on a shipping and receiving dock. Graveyard shift, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, you're talking 19-year-old kid. I don't want to be working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's prime time. That's prime time, right? But here I am working on the graveyard shift, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Friday. Saturday, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Right? Y'all tracking with this? So basically, my weekend was shot. Right? And that was just to keep ends meet because I knew for a fact all the stuff about my dad, you're never going to be anything, you're not going to make it, you'll be back, you'll see. There was no way I was going back. So I did what I had. There was no way I was going back. So I worked that shift. So anyways, after doing that, I realized, okay, I wanted to be a coach and a teacher. I wanted to be, go in the NFL. Okay, I got God on my side. No NFL, no degree. I can't coach and I can't teach. And I like to talk. And I'm loading trucks. This don't look too good. What's the next best business? Car business. Prior to the car business, I got a job working at Chili's. I had a buddy of mine. We used to chase women together. Here's my little buddy. And he said, look, he didn't want to do this Lowe's job no more. He didn't want to do this deal, right? He said, man, I'm not doing this. I'm going to Chili's, wait tables, and try to be a bartender because there's girls there. I said, well, I can't give up the $1,600 a month I'm making because I don't have any other sources. I got to stay, So he goes, after about 2 months, he says, hey, Louie, you need to come over here. Just work part-time. I said, can you get me a gig? Can I get in? I'll keep both jobs. So he got me in. Anyways, here comes a baker. Got a guy from Miami, Florida, who used to be a Metro-Dade cop, who is now a finance director at a car dealership. And he notices that I look Hispanic or something. He don't know what I look like, but he knows I look something, right? So he comes in and he says, I want that kid. I want that guy to serve me. So I serve him. We start talking. And we started talking about being from Florida. Next thing you know, he says, you need to get in the car business. I said, I'm never getting in the car business, man. I'll never do the car business. So he wore on me and wore on me and wore on me. Finally, he got me to go in the car business. Now I'm going to tell you, this is when you look at and there's more details, but I have limited time. I want to cover a couple of things. How I got in this business was crazy. He told me to go and get a tie and be in and go interview, right? I said, being a young, faith-driven guy, wasn't perfect by no means, but in my mind, that's where I went to. That was my father, right? So I said, Lord, look, you got to show me a sign. Y'all ever did that? Lord, show me a sign. I got to know it's the right decision. If I'm going to do this car business thing, show me a sign. Go to bed. My alarm is always set to buzzer. The alarm clock goes off the next morning, and the buzzer's not on. It goes off to radio. You have two options, radio or buzzer, however you want to set it up. It's a car commercial. I get up, and I'm like, that's wild. So now I'm like, it's on now. It's for sure going to happen. This is what Lord wants me to do. I'm in, man, right? So I get my tie on. I call up Carlos and I said, hey, man, I'm coming down. Is it good? He said, yeah, come on down. You'll meet with the general manager. And it's a store similar to Milledgeville. It was a small store in Douglasville, right? So I go down there. It's a true story. I go down there. I meet with him. Talk to him for 20 minutes. He says, well, you seem like a good kid. He says, but honestly, we don't hire like 1 or 2 salesmen at a time. If we're a small store. If we're going to, because you're not going to get much training, But I'll keep your application on file. And if we can get 3 or 4 more, we'll hire a group of 5 in, and we'll let you get in, and that way you get trained in the class. And I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy, because I'm getting worked up like this is going to happen, and I'm going to make this plunge, and I'm going to go for it, and God showed me the sign, and I'm in it. So I'm like, okay. So I go to stand up. On the back of his credenza, he had a Jacksonville State football helmet, which you would not know Jacksonville State unless you played at Liberty University. Because they don't play Florida State and the University of Florida and Georgia, right? So as I'm walking, I said, hey, you played for Jacksonville State? And he goes, yeah, how do you know? I said, well, at Liberty, I played you guys, Really? We start talking Jacksonville State and Alabama, this, that, and I'm just like talking it with him. Like I'm from Alabama. I'm talking right with him, He gets up, he says, you know what, kid, you're a sharp kid. He said, why don't you just come in tomorrow? Had I walked out of there, I would have never gotten in the car business. That's crazy, isn't it? I would have never got in the car business. And to see where I'm at now, to not, like I literally would have given it up. But again, some cool things. I met my wife. Some of you know my wife, Sandy. I met her in the car business, sold her a car, went out with her that night. Been dating her ever since. And then I made the payments. So, I mean, that's the truth. May 27th, 1997, I sold her a car. We've been together ever since. She's tried to kick me to the curb a couple of times, but I'm hanging on with 2 hands, man. 2 hands. But to me, that's what life's all about, the American dream, right? Come from nothing, right? And when we talk about when my wife teases me. She thinks I'm libertarian, because I'm kind of always independent or whatever. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, self-responsibility. Go after it. Have a goal. Have a dream. Go make something happen. You know what I'm saying? Don't be entitled. Know you got to get something. I mean, that's what it's all about. And for me, that is a huge part. But really, I want to just kind of transition to a second about why I give, what I do in the community. Things of this nature, and why I think it's important. Again. Being an amateur in the Word, in Luke, it talks about we're much given, much required. And if you take that seriously, and we live in America, and when you say we're much given, much is given to all of us, even though we have circumstance that we don't like. But for me, we're much given, much required. I believe in my heart that I believe if you're blessed at any level, it's almost like how you have it's your duty to pay taxes. It's your duty, right? I mean, it's like you have no choice. It's what you have to do. I believe it's your duty to give back. It's your duty and responsibility and obligation. It's your obligation. You're obligated to pay taxes. You're obligated to give. And I think we get so hard-hearted with a lot of people that take and so on and so forth. But it still doesn't change the fact that we still can make a difference. We still can make a difference. Some of the things that I do, of course, like I mentioned before, I speak at the elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, pregame football speeches. I've done pregame basketball, state championship speeches. I've done banquets, business functions, stuff like this. We have the Love Bucket charity at the dealership where we give away $1,000 a month, to any local charity, Habitat for Humanity. Many that we've done in Greene, Baldwin, and Putnam County. And again, I always wanted to be a coach and a teacher. So think about this. Again, not to get too churchy on you, but how good is God? I mean, here I was a kid that grew up in a situation like that, thought I was going to play football, don't get a college degree, had no idea to get in the car business. My gifting is communicating and speaking and inspiring and motivating. I get a car dealership, and I think I've spoke probably 40 times in 4 years in this community. I mean, I'm right where I need to be. Does that make sense? I mean, and I didn't do that. I mean, that's exactly the plan. Again, that whole plan is the platform of what has to get done. So to me, that's really exciting. And I think the product of giving, in my mind, and again, I hope to, as I get older, just to even have more of it. I mean, the product of giving is that happiness, it's that gratitude, right? And then I think of the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. I mean, all those things, those are, if you've ever given, and you're from a right place. You're not doing it begrudgingly. You find something you're passionate about that you really like, that you really can do, it makes an impact on somebody else. And when it's all said and done, regardless of how much we make or how much we've acquired, you gotta still put forth and make sure you're giving. The thing I want to share with you, I think is really important, and I stole this, by the way, because it was good, just so you know. 3 levels of life that we're all in. This group, I believe, is in the 3rd level. You are. But when I say the 3rd level, you're going to appreciate it. Survival, success, or significance. You're only in 3 levels. You're either surviving, check to check, week to week, day to day, just getting by, hating life, right? We know people like that, don't we? We know a lot of people like that. Success. You're consumed with achieving, right? This is the one I fight. You're consumed with it. You keep going and going and going and going, and the kids keep growing up, the kids are around, you keep going, and you look back and you go, wow, what happened? Right? Or you're in a level where you've had that experience, you've got the discernment, that wisdom, which is this group right here, and you go to significance. Being significant. What does it mean to be significant? What significance can you play? What can you do? And I believe you guys are in the greatest time of life. Take me, for example. I'm almost 40 years old. I don't have the same opportunities you guys have. I mean, I've got kids that are 9 and 11 and run a car dealership. So, I've got practices. I've got jiu-jitsu. I've got football, baseball, basketball, soccer, cheerleading, tumble, piano, guitar lessons, drum lessons, tennis, golf. Oh, by the way, there's summer. You got to take them out on jet skis. You got to do those things. You got to run a car dealership. You got to manage people. And by the way, in case you didn't know, the number one thing is the wife. So if she's not engaged, I'm in real big trouble, right? So that's the first gift that's got to be taken care of, which is the hardest one, right? To see eye to eye, right? So you guys are in a great spot. You're in a great spot to make a huge impact. And I think that's something if you ponder on it and you note, it's something that you really need to consider. So again, what is it for you? I mean, if speaking is not your gig, Louie, that's great, but I don't want to go to do a pregame speech at high school. I don't want to do an assembly. That's cool. You got the Boys and Girls Club. You got the Pregnancy Center. You got local schools. I'll tell you, my wife is a great example. She substitutes teaches. I mean, my wife's very bright. Nearly master's in finance, great political mind. She's in a role with parenting and doing that thing. And that gets frustrating because she's underutilized. She can do so she just enrolls in doing things for substitute teaching if they need it. She's never taught. She does things at the church. You guys could do things at the church. I mean, she doesn't have a theology degree. I don't have a theology degree, but she goes in, fills in for the youth group. No one, I can tell you, she ain't perfect. She's not perfect, but it's still an effort to give back. Those kids need people like us. I look at all of us in here had somebody that's a baker or the butler. Somebody in here affected your life at one point. Boom, it hit you and you took off like this. Somebody did it. The kids, the generation, the stuff that we're talking about, the school system, the No Child Left Behind and all that, it starts with mommies and daddies and it starts with the community. That's the deal, right? We all know that. It starts with everyone kind of getting engaged at what you can do. Recreation centers, Habitat for Humanity, the civic organizations. Again, I just think, really and truly, I just think, the measure of your life will not be measured by what you accumulate. It'll be measured by what you gave. All of you, I'm sure, have a lot of stuff. I hope you live in a great, I've never been in this community. It's beautiful. I mean, very nice. But what's going to be measured when it's all said and done, when you talk about your days, is what you gave. That's what it boils down to. And I think that's just an important thing. As I'm getting to the end here, I just want to tell you, life success leaves many clues. You guys have been around a lot of successful people in your life, more so than I have. But trying to be that dynamic father or grandfather or husband or wife or employer, community leader, activist, anything of that nature, it takes something special. And I will tell you, I don't know if you realize this, but we all have something in common. All of us, every one of us has something in common that LeBron James has, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, you name them, all the biggest names you can think of. All of us have the same thing in common. Y'all know what that is? We got the same 24 hours in a day. All of us. The key is, how are we using the 24 hours? We got the same exact time of the best of the best of the best, supposed best. How are we using our hours? What are we doing with our time? Again, that's something that's very, very important to ponder. My thing, really, just tying this down, is real simple. It's all about being a game changer. I love sports. I love football specifically. And anybody here that loves football knows, how many people does it take to change a football game? It just takes one. It takes one time where Georgia is on the 4-yard line against Alabama. It takes one player, correct? It takes one person to make that catch. It takes one person to block. And here's what happens. When one person decides to be a game changer in this room, that's good. But when everybody, that's called synergy. Now you got a bunch of game changers. It just takes one. So that's a huge, huge piece. Again, having a sense of urgency, figuring out for yourself, what can I do? Just muster that urgency up about, hey, what do I want to get involved in? Seize the day, right? Seize the day. Forget about tomorrow. It'll come soon enough, and yesterday's already gone. Can't change it. What can you do today? What can we do today? How can we help today? And then last thing, I just think it's so important. You look at a week. There's Fridays, Thursdays, Tuesdays. There ain't no someday on that calendar. There ain't no someday. So again, I hope I've left a couple of points for y'all just to ponder. I hope you've maybe been inspired. There's a great opportunity for all of us. And I think when all of us work together at the same time, it really creates something special. So again, I'm so blessed and grateful to be able to share with y'all. And hopefully you got some ideas. And hopefully you got a little bit of inspiration.